So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how to develop a that entrepreneurial mindset. You know, I see a lot of people who are watching other people on social media and how they compare themselves to them quite a bit, right? Whether you have a business right now or you are just starting off with a business idea, and wanting to build, a lot of times we start comparing ourselves to these people that we see, and we compare from all different levels, right? We compare from a standpoint of, wow, I don't know how they come up with all that social media content. Where do they come up with these topics? Where do they, right? Or how do they get so creative in their business? How do they always recognize things that they can do? And the interesting part is that for a lot of those people, it's just a simple little hack. Now, that simple little hack, just like anything else, requires consistency. And that's usually one of the things that changes the game for anybody that's building a business. And when I say that it requires consistency, it's a consistency of mindset. Now, some people say this is like your the manifestation, right? If you say it, it's going to happen, and or training your brain. But it's simple little skills that we do on a regular basis that help change the way that our brain responds. Now, I'm not going to go too deep in this and geek out like I am some brain doctor and understand every in and out of how the brain works. But I like to share this topic because it's fun to start playing with for up and coming entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurs. Because simple little changes in your day-to-day actions will actually start changing the way that you are operating as a builder, right? As a builder of building a business, whether it's something that's just still in the idea stage or something that's actually starting to come to life. And simple ways to change that mindset and recognize more opportunities or stay focused a little bit longer are starting to just put repetitions into your thought. Now, or changing just a simple action and doing it consistently. Now, I want to give you a couple of examples. You know, one thing I started doing myself some years ago is that my response when people ask me how I'm doing is I tell them I'm living the dream. And that is always my response. In fact, if you come across me and you ask me how I'm doing and I don't say I'm living the dream, there's probably something really wrong in my head at that moment. And it means that I'm probably really down. But because with consistency, as I keep saying that, the smile always comes across my face. And I always feel a little bit better about everything that's going on in life. And especially the more consistent I got at it, it became natural and a more natural way of thinking. I remember also talking to a friend of mine not too long ago who is really into the fitness industry, just passionate about it and doing great things in that industry. And it's really cool to watch. But we were talking about how hard it is sometimes to build up a social media presence, especially how do we come up with all this content. And for that person, it was simply changing the way that they interacted with the people around them. Instead of thinking about what content do I come up with, they changed their daily habit to start listening to people more often. When they started listening, they were intentionally listening, so being consistent with this, of listening for complaints or listening to questions that came out frequently. And these things were key items that helped them recognize what social media content they needed to make. Now, with time, as you continue to do that, it became more and more natural to hear something, see something, and go, automatically recognize that as social media content. Because these are simple ways that we can change the way that we do things. And this simple ways that we can change the way that we're interacting with our businesses. It can even come out to a simple mindset. You know, Napoleon Hill wrote this really neat book called Think and Grow Rich. And I avoided that book for a long time because it would be nice. It's nice to have financial wealth, but that wasn't my focus on anything that I ever did. And I finally dove into it after I kept hearing about it, and made it happen. And Napoleon Hill found key things that over 25 years of studying the most successful people around the world, found that one of the key things for these individuals, when we say think and grow rich, he's not talking about just rich financially. He's talking about rich in life as far as their joy in life, success in their business or their endeavor, whatever they were going after, or even a hobby or a movement. And that was what Think and Grow Rich was, rich in life. So that also included wealth for majority of the people. But one of the biggest things they found was essentially a personal statement to themselves that they repeated on a regular basis, right? This is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to accomplish. And as they moved through that, they found that though they started recognizing opportunities aimed at their desired goals and outcome in life started falling in their lap a little bit more often. Now, these are opportunities that probably would have been there anyways, but they may not have recognized them as such. But as you start manifesting, as you start telling yourself more and more often of, I'm gonna start looking for problems and questions for my social media content. I'm gonna start looking for more problems that people are having in this industry. I am going to start telling myself that I can build a business daily. As those things start happening consistently, the mindset changes and starts to think about that I can do this and recognize those opportunities to help whatever that action is move forward. So that's my invitation. Try that out a little bit. Whatever your thing is, I want you to find out what it is that you can do to change your mindset. I want you to write it down, type it out, I don't care, put it by your bed, and I want you to read it out loud twice a day as if you mean it. It doesn't need to be this long story. You should literally be able to read this to yourself in 30 seconds or less. But give it a go and see if it can help you through some of your difficult and your sticking points in your business or in achieving your goals. And that key thing I want you to look for and ask yourself is, after 30 days of doing this twice a day, are you starting to recognize opportunities in whatever that endeavor, whatever it is that you're focusing on? Do you start noticing those opportunities laying out in front of you a little bit more? All right, hope that was helpful. Have some fun with this. I promise you it's pretty eye-opening if you actually put in the effort to do it. All right, we'll see you around.